Welcome back to Insights Over Espresso. Today we're joined by Jeremy Neilson, CEO of Sally, a specialized technology company that's automating the complex world of special purpose vehicles. And Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, you have over 20 years of experience in, legal administration and investment management. Could you share a bit with the audience about the journey that led you to found Sally and why you felt the SPV market needed a technology solution, especially one focused on automation?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. The journey started with going to a lot of schooling. I wasn't quite sure the path I was going to take. Interested in business, interested in trying to do interesting things, work with interesting people. And so I started with a law degree. And I wasn't quite sure what that would result for me. I didn't go to law school thinking I wanted to be an attorney and work in a law firm and go the traditional route. I just wanted to have that education and kind of that tool kit, if you will, a lot of tools in the tool bag. And it actually turned out to be the best decision for my career was to go to law school. I went to law school, but I didn't pursue that traditional law career. And I ended up working for the state of Utah. They launched a double, triple bottom line economic development program around bringing alternative assets to the state of Utah. And I was able to get that job mostly because of my law degree, because there was legislation and needed to be set up and entities and lots and lots of stuff. And so that law degree really set me apart from others. And I was willing to take a very low government salary. It was another great resume, piece of data on my resume. Turned out to be this amazing experience where I was able to launch this program and meet with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of venture capitalists and private equity groups and just this huge, massive, amazing experience. And that really put me on that path around private asset investing. From that experience, I really saw a lot of things in the ecosystem around structure and information and automation. When I first started that job at the Utah Fund of Funds is what it was called, I actually went to the state surplus, and I purchased a typewriter because I was getting these subscription documents from the law firms in order to invest into these private equity funds. And I remember typing out these documents. I could either handwrite it or I could type it. My handwriting wasn't great. And if I hand wrote it, they'd be calling me anyways and trying to read my handwriting. So that was the very first experience I had around just filling out fund documents. From there, was there for 7 years, left, started my own thing, and it's a whole nother conversation around the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. But eventually, through various experiences that I had and continued to build my resume, AngelList called me and said, and this AngelList was brand new. There was 6 people at the company, and they were just getting started, and they said, can you figure out how to do funds in bulk? Those were the words they used, and basically they meant, can you figure out how to do SPVs in a effective way? Speed, cost effective. And so my co-founder and I did. And so we did all of AngelList business for many, many years, and we basically got a lot of people's business as well. And early days of AngelList, it was, again, just using handwritten or filling things out, or DocuSign was just kind of coming online at that time. And so that just began the journey of automation from typewriter to just early days of people handwriting stuff and filling them out and mailing them in to some DocuSign to our very first technology, if you will, was an add-on to Salesforce, a little tweak or something, a little module to Salesforce. That was kind of version 1. And then from there, version 2 and version 3. And what resulted and what really drove me to create Sally was automation with SPVs is amazing. But if you don't have a complete platform, it results in actually more work. And that may sound counterintuitive, but because typically you might say, well, a little bit of automation decreases manual work. And for most, I think, industries or use cases, that's probably true. But with SPVs or private asset investing, if everything's not inside the platform, what you end up doing is you split the work and you basically create more work because you have on platform and off platform. And the off platform now has to be married with the on platform, which requires you to do a third step. So you've got on platform, off platform, and then you have a master, almost like an umbrella that then combines the two. So you've now done kind of on platform, off platform, and then you have another thing about making sure that all of it is in one place. So now you have 3 places to go through or go to check, double check, work through. And so if you don't have a complete platform, you now have just created more work than if you had not done technology at all. And so no technology was, that ship had sailed, right? People enjoyed a DocuSign. They'd enjoyed an ACH. They'd enjoyed some Plaid, right? They enjoyed their stuff that made life easier for them. And so you couldn't really go back to, hey, fill it out by hand and mail it to me. And so the only decision was to push through and get all the way to the finish line, which is Sally, which is that complete platform that has everything.
Okay. This may be the answer to this next question, but it's a good segue. Let's kind of drill into what core problem that Sally was specifically built to eliminate. So what was the single most painful manual process in the traditional SPV administration model that Sally was specifically built to eliminate?
The single most, I would say that the single most arduous process around private asset investing is probably taxes. And everything kind of flows towards proper reporting. That would be taxes, that would be capital account statements, that would be ultimately distribution, stuff like that. And so if I could use taxes as a bit of a straw man or kind of a representation of the thing that needs to be completely automated, would be that end result or the bottom of the funnel or the end of the path. And so if you are doing deals and you are onboarding investors and you're receiving funds and signing documents and you have these little edge cases, which is a side letter, could be somebody correcting an investment amount, it could be somebody canceling their investment or investing more money or investing from multiple profiles. Those little things that you don't really know even exist until you start doing deals and investors start asking you and you like, oh, I never thought about that, right? And so having those years of experience that I've had gave me the knowledge to build the correct and complete platform. All of those little edge cases have got to be inside the reporting, inside the platform, inside the connectivity of it, so that when you go to do taxes, reporting, capital account statements, distributions, membership transfers, all these things, if it's a mess, if it's in multiple places, you've just, like I've said, quadrupled your work, because now you got to check here and then check here, and then maybe go back and check again. And what happens is when you go to check, it's not right. So something's gone wrong in these different teams and these different paths, these different flows. And so you thought, oh, I'll just go double check the 3 spots. Turns out when you double check, the numbers are different. Now you're into an audit, right? And so, excuse me. So that's why it just causes these big messes. And so if you can keep everything in-house or in the platform, then when you go to do those checks and get those outputs and do that work, it's always one place. a source of truth. You're not double, triple checking. You're not launching into audits. You're not doing all this extra work, and your work's smooth. Everything's correct, and your workload is dramatically lessened.
Okay. So you mentioned in our pre-call that SPVs are a growing market, but confusion and complexity are still major barriers to adoption. So beyond that, what would you say the biggest shift you're seeing in the SPV services market right now are in terms of, client expectations, competition, or technology that you believe will define the next, say, 5 years in the industry?
Yeah. What's changing is the investor expectation. So like I mentioned earlier, that the ship has sailed with regards to using technology, automation, and tools that make the investor's life easier. We no longer can go back to filling things out by hand or using a typewriter. The investor is on a journey expecting with expectations to have things get smoother and more smooth. And so you can continue to just throw human bodies at it, but that causes an upside down business model for SPVs. It causes increase of wages. It causes increase of pricing on an SPV. And so the only way to keep prices down and increase the experience for investors, who ultimately are the product or the customer, right? If you're going to do an SPV, if you find a deal and you find an SPV provider, that's awesome. But if you don't find investors, that's pointless, right? So a user of SPVs, customers or clients, are investors. So we always solve for the investor, right? And so, or the customer. So we're solving for the investor, and investors expect things to get better and better and better, which requires better and better software and technology with more automation. And so that's where this is all going. This is where Sally comes in and provides that next level of automation. And that's where the future is going to be, is a much smoother and much smoother and much smoother experience.
Yeah. So let's touch on this smoother part. Let's touch on the regulatory environment. So regulatory scrutiny is rising, demanding, more robust compliance and transparency. So how is Sally using technology, as you spoke about, to turn this regulatory challenge into a core differentiator for your clients, ensuring that you stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah. So as regulatory comes out, and it's been happening for many, many years, so over my life of doing thousands and thousands of SPVs, that environment has continued to change. So for me, nothing's new, meaning regulatory change or regulatory scrutiny. For us in the SPV business, there's lots of regulatory scrutiny. It could be around tax, it could be around KYC AML, it could be around banking, it could be around accreditation. And so for us, we're always pretty nimble about that. When you have a technology platform like Sally, it's much easier for us to just push some more data to somebody. So if there is a regulatory scrutiny, the beneficiary, the BOI or BIO, I'm forgetting the exact name of what that was. It was going to be a thing, and then Trump, through an executive order, delayed it. Something like that. We have all the data that is needed to comply with that. And so for us, it wasn't any big deal. All we would do is push the data through the system or provide an easy report. When you're doing things manually, that's a problem. You're going to have to try to go collect it someplace. Maybe you didn't collect it in the past. Maybe it wasn't saved somewhere, and you have to go back to investors and ask for this information. Investors just don't want to be bothered again. And so for what Sally does and what we continue to build is just collect all the necessary stuff on day one. And then even if you don't need it all today, you have it for some future potential request. And I've seen enough things to know what possibly or probably is going to happen. Different presidential candidates or regimes or administrations, however you want to describe it, are going to have different requests or different programs, or whatever it's going to
Yeah.
be. And so just collecting the right information up front, having it ready and available, allows us to then just push it out or deliver it or package it for whoever or whatever's coming in the future.
Okay. Very good. So you built Sally into, I think you said in our pre-call, the fifth iteration of software, putting you, I'd say, years ahead of the competitors who are still on, version one. Maybe we'll be generous and give them a couple of them on version two, but still light years ahead. Can you explain the fundamental difference in architectural thinking between building a brittle human workflow based system versus building a truly scalable automated platform like Sally?
Yeah. It really comes from experience. If you've never really done SPVs before, if you've only done a few, you don't have that many use cases. And what I've seen the ecosystem do is they approach it and say, I could provide a smoother, more pretty experience for our investors. And I would use the analogy of Amazon, which, if you've ever gone to the Amazon website or used their app, it's not pretty. It's not the most smooth and rounded cornered system that you've ever seen, because Amazon's a logistics company. They really work on, I'm going to present to you a photo and a price. Do you want to buy it? And then I'm going to use all my magic and money in making sure that that product gets to your house maybe in a few hours, as quickly as a few hours.
Yep.
Sally and our system is a lot like that, which is the front end is beautiful, but the power is in the back end database and all the nuances around it. It is a legal and basically a tax system. And what I mean by tax is always knowing that at the end of the day, everything's going to get pushed through a tax return. So you need to collect everything and know all the nuances so that everything can be smooth on that process. When you go and say, I'm going to jump into SPVs on day one, you think, oh, I know a few things. I'll make this smooth. Maybe that was a little clunky with my competitor. I'll smooth that out. And you start doing a couple deals, and pretty soon you realize that the architecture that you selected, the database construction that you selected, the features that you selected was all pretty pedestrian. It's kind of junior, if you will. And it's not to say you're not smart. It's just to say you didn't have the experience yet to know what is needed. So when I say I'm on my fifth iteration, I am on my fifth iteration. I'm on my ninth, 10th year of building software around SPVs. And each time, up until Sally, we missed something. We made a brittle system. So we've already made these mistakes. We've already kind of walked this path or written this story for ourselves. And now we know and have that experience and expertise to say the database, the architecture, all of that is far more important than that front end, beautiful, smooth a piece of the puzzle.
That's great. Well, I look forward to seeing Sally in its seventh and eighth iteration.
Yeah, thank you.
So your ultimate vision for Sally is to be the go-to platform for all structured vehicles. And we've seen firsthand the limitations of scaling by simply adding headcount. What's the core philosophy at Sally for achieving massive, say, scale and growth without creating, human workflows in code?
Yeah. That's a question I love answering, because I've done this before, because I have made that mistake of, say, version 2 of the software and just adding headcount. The philosophy of Sally now is automate it. It's got to be automated. It doesn't mean we don't do some things manually, and we do things manually today, but it's only to say, okay, do we understand exactly what to automate? We have that experience, we have the knowledge, but we also say, okay, let's run this 2 or 3 or 4 times manually in order to make sure that we understand the system, then we bring those to the system. It's all about that onboarding, and it's all about the education, and it's all about creating the deep connectivity between the systems so that things can be automated and everything is linked. The unique thing, and I've mentioned it throughout this conversation about private asset investing, is there's this long tail. So something that's going on at the very beginning of purely just onboarding of the structure of somebody's SPVs or their venture fund. When I say structure, I mean Delaware, Master Series, Wyoming, all of these things that you're putting together, the documents, what do the documents say? What kind of economics are you putting into this transaction? As you set up those very basic things at the very beginning, all that flows all the way through the deal, flows through perhaps side letters, it flows through reporting, flows through taxes, just goes all the way down the road, down the path, all the way to the finish line. And so you have to be able to automate and connect and know all of those things, all that connectivity, in order to create a system that is truly scalable, where you don't have to always just insert a human to say, okay, we didn't build this, we didn't realize this, we didn't know this. Insert a human team to fix. But once you do that, it then almost cuts it off from the rest of the path down the journey, down the trail. And so for us, it's all about knowing that connectivity, being very thoughtful about it. And each time we want to create something, we have to really sit down and think from front to back, top to bottom, how that touches everything else in the system. And luckily we have the expertise and experience to do so. It's very quick for us, but also making sure that we touch it manually and do it almost ourselves a number of times before we kind of push that out into the system.
Interesting. So when you look at the sales funnel for acquiring a new investment manager or fund administrator, where are you seeing today the biggest bottleneck right now?
The bottleneck in onboarding or bringing on or finding or bringing on customers is unique with SPVs and private asset investing in general, and that's because they take these different steps. The first step they take is, I'm going to do SPVs or I'm going to do a fund, but they haven't yet found deals or maybe found that network or found that money. It's kind of aspirational for them. And so the first thing they do is reach out to someone like Sally and be like, hey, tell me about yourself. How do you work? How much do you cost? And so we spend time telling them about ourselves and about the software. And then they run off and go do this other stuff. They then kind of launch their business because they don't feel they can launch their business until they know who they're going to hire to help them with their business. And so they then they run off and do the work to finish their setting up and finding deals and finding networks and stuff like that. And so I think one of the biggest parts is to help them really see the value of working with someone that's done a lot of deals. Although Sally does have probably the best prices, I have seen far too often people, administrators, syndicators, chase the lowest price. And I just don't believe you should chase the lowest price when it comes to the knowledge and know-how of how to run private asset investing. It ends up really hurting you later when you chase the lowest price. But far too often that is the very most interesting thing to individuals. And sometimes there's value there because they're doing a very small deal. Let's say it's $50,000. Maybe their network's really small. So I'm very sensitive to individuals who are just getting started and trying to figure it out. And Sally is meant to service those in that the more software, more automation, Now you're paying for compute. You're not paying for humans. And not to say that humans should be in this business. They absolutely should. But you pull in those humans around the legal side or the tax side or that expertise side rather than the clicking buttons or generating signatures or reconciling funds and stuff like that. And so that's where I'm seeing the bottlenecks in this business.
Okay. So you're targeting today investment managers, fund administrators who need to manage deals at scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So how are you identifying and prioritizing those high conversion prospects, the GPs who are most ready to adopt a white labeled automated SPV solution?
Yeah. I think that's tough. That's a tough ask of me and others. And I think one of the reasons that's difficult is because they don't really identify themselves. They don't have on LinkedIn, I'm doing 10 deals a year. They don't have it in their profile. Their profiles are sometimes benign. They're sometimes, I'm a manager, I'm a president, I am an analyst, right? And so it could be a family office, it could be an angel group. And so my approach is to really just be available, be an expert out there. So when people go to reach out to educate themselves, they find me. I have a YouTube channel called All Things SPVs, and I just educate anybody and everybody about SPVs, how to do things, basically how to do things manually. If you want to do SPVs, I will teach you how to do SPVs manually. I believe once you try to do one yourself manually, you'll realize this is really hard and you'll start looking for solutions. That's the marketing angle. But if you want to do SPVs by yourself manually, go to All Things SPVs. I will teach you everything you need to do. I'll give you the documents. I'll give you the links. I'll walk you through every field, every click, everything you have to do. And so that's been my approach to service the ecosystem, provide them with value, and then those that are then saying, you know what, I want some help or I want to talk to the expert, then they'll reach out to me.
Right. Okay. So my $1 million question, if you could press a button and instantly solve one problem related to predictable pipeline or revenue growth, other than cloning yourself, because I know you're carrying the load right now, what would that problem be and why?
How would I solve a pipeline? I'm not sure. I think ultimately it would be, what I would love is if I could find those people that are doing a number of deals. So if there was a way to find them, right, through Edgar, through a LinkedIn profile, but private asset investing is quiet. Your network's quiet, your deals tend to be quiet. There's very much a know and networking element to it. Is there a conference that I could go to where they were all hanging out? That's how I would push a button, that there would be a way to know who they were so that I could reach out to them and help them know that Sally exists, that they should check it out. I can give them a demo and they can take it from there.
Okay. So you spoke about taxes being the heaviest and scariest step, and that's where you focus. Is there an other administrative heavy workflow like compliance checks or document parsing or investor reporting that you believe would be most ripe for further, AI powered automation within Sally's platform?
Yeah, I think reporting would be very interesting. So as you go through the flow of onboarding investors, that's very individualized. I mean, you type in your name, you put in your social, you upload your driver's license. Document signing is very, with legal, there's some AI there, but they're pretty templatized. That's pretty simple. People need to send in their money. There's no AI around them sending in their money. But once the deal's closed, that reporting and updating around things that are happening, value of their investment, that type of stuff could be very, very helpful from the AI space. The tax, like you mentioned, and that I've spoken about, would be very helpful as well. Everyone wants predictability as well, so anything that could like predict the great next company. I know that that's not going to happen, but right, a lot of people would like that as well. How do I do due diligence better? That would be an interesting thing as well. How do I assess, should I do this deal? That could be interesting. Perhaps even like bringing in a portfolio look versus, combining that with this particular investment and certain aspects and elements of it. That could be very interesting. Sally's really focused on that really hard to do stuff around the onboarding, the legal, the tax, the accounting, the compliance, the admin, the banking. And I don't see a lot of AI for that core piece, but on the outside, that making the decision before I go in, and now that I've done the deal, how do I track it, keep up to date, integrate it with my other portfolio, my other thinking. Those two bookends, AI could really be helpful.
Okay, interesting. So given that you're so far ahead in terms of software iteration, where do you feel Sally needs to invest in technology next? Is it lead gen? Is it predictive analytics? Is it compliance features to ensure that you maintain that competitive advantage in the market? And maybe it's that reporting and creating a dashboard.
Yeah,
Other than being able to really identify, where are all those PEs that are doing deals?
yeah, yeah. One that I think is very interesting to me, and I think would be others, would be analytics. And so that would be the behavior of your investors as they evaluate your opportunities, as they walk through the investment flow. So as Sally's clients are the investors, to be able to provide them with analytics around their investor base, their network, their clients, I think would be highly valuable. And it would just go from, how they behave with the platform, how they interact with the platform, their behaviors and whatnot. And we could also then branch out of, this individual, who they are, and provide them with a deeper, more analytical view as to their investor base.
Okay. So for VCs and fund managers in our audience who are evaluating technology to scale their own operations, what's the single most important piece of advice you can give them about leveraging, you know, AI or automation to drive operational consistency and value?
Yeah. Um, It's a good question. I mean, I use AI daily as I get my work done. I think each of them probably do as well and should. I haven't yet seen a group that has taken AI and made private asset investing smoother, more scalable, or faster because of AI. I do think that is coming. But I can see it in accounting. I can see it coming in taxes. I can see it in report generating. But as all of us have already experienced, that AI isn't always right. You have to work it, and you have to manage it. And so, excuse me, good. Wet my throat there. I'm not getting emotional. I'm just needed a drink there. But I think that I would say that I haven't seen a solution for them, but I do believe it's coming, and I'm excited for it. But
Yeah.
I can't say that I've seen that solution. And I think it'll come in pieces. Like someone will help right here with tax, and someone will help right here with reporting, and other aspects. And I look forward to implementing some of that myself, or integrating with some of those solutions as they come online.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like it's more of a um, stitch a lot of individual AI components together to achieve integrate with you, integrate with something else, and and then pull it all together.
Yeah.
So this has been incredibly insightful. Where can our listeners, investment managers, fund administrators, firms looking to structure deals at scale learn more about Sally and connect with your team and
Yeah.
you?
Sally.co is the website. Love to see you there. Come click on, I'll give you guys a demo. Just book some time with me. All things SPVs, the YouTube channel where you can go and see the content and some of the stuff that we're doing to educate the ecosystem on how to do SPVs. But yeah, I would love to show anybody the platform that's interested.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much. So as we kind of wrap this up, I'm not sure there's a fit, but would you be opposed to, say, 20, 30-minute call to dive a little deeper into your technology itself to see if we can potentially help? Maybe we can find that needle in the haystack that you're looking for. Because we have helped a lot of companies in lead gen and pulling the pieces together, especially for people like yourself, where you're a one-man army and trying to kind of
Yeah.
do it all. And
Sure, I'm always open to chatting. Love to talk with other experts and get the smarts of you guys to look at it and see if you're seeing something I haven't found. Like you said, maybe there's nothing there, but I'm always open to
Yeah, no, just
conversation.
what we're thinking of is, building an authority content engine for you, a pipeline acceleration system, and kind of I'm going to call it, because we talked about it in the pre-call, a founder clone sales, system. So if there was a way that we could sort of clone you using AI and create a system around that, and take some of the load off you. You're doing all the right things, but again, being a one-man army, it's tough to
Yeah,
get the word out there that, hey, we're here and here's how it works.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So let's
Okay.
chat and let's see what you guys
Okay.
have to say, and maybe it'll be
You want
something.
to book 30 minutes now?
Yep,
Over the next week or two?
let's do it.
You tell me what might work for you, and
Um, so 12 noon is open this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 12 noon Mountain. 2.
this Wednesday, yeah, I'm booked solid all day
Okay.
Wednesday.
Uh,
Uh,
I can go next week. Should I just go to next week? Is that better?
I've got some Friday time, and after that, let's jump into next week.
So Friday I could do 10 a.m. Mountain. I could do 2
And
p.m. Mountain.
Mountain is 1 hour behind me, right?
You Central or Pacific?
Central.
Yeah, so you're 1 hour. I'm 1 hour behind you. So if I say 10, that'd be 11 your time.
Right. Yeah, I've got something. So let's jump into next week. There's
Okay.
a lot more availability.
Monday's basically open. Tuesday's full. Wednesday's basically open.
Okay, let's do something on Monday the 8th.
Okay.
I am. I've got early in the morning, but then that's too early for you. My schedule starts to open up at 12:30.
Okay. That works. Like 1 your time is open for me. 12:30 your time
Okay, let's
open.
do one. I'll send you an invite for one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just use Zoom. We don't need to kind of record anything. So,
Okay. That'd be great.
okay. All right. I'll see you then, and thanks for this.
Nice. Perfect.
And we'll put this together once we've got maybe 5 to 7. The editors will start to work on it, and I'll get you over, like I said, a 10-minute long form content, and then about 6 to 8 60-second short segments
Sure.
that you could post anywhere. Just because most of the social media other than YouTube, really prefer shorter formats.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I think LinkedIn cuts it off at 60 seconds. They won't even post anything after 60 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well,
Have a good afternoon.
thank you.
I'll send you the invite for December 8th at 1 Central.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Cheers.
See ya.